Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome into another mock draft episode here on the SFS channel. My name's Gavin. Today I've got a 10-team full PPR mock lined up for you. I'll be drafting with the 1.7 overall pick and trying to put together the best roster as possible, always depending on how that draft board falls. So it's just me up against the ADP and the CPU auto pick today. But on Saturday's episode, I will be having a little bit of an added stakes here. I'll be having a money draft that I will have recorded and posted for you, so you can watch that in its entirety and see how the board falls with some real cash on the line, and ultimately we'll be following that league throughout the majority of the season. I can keep you guys updated on that if you'd like. But otherwise, that's just an extra gauge for you all to check out and get some added information about how we're drafting with some real stakes money leagues here this offseason. So without further ado, we're not going to waste too much time. Again, I do want to get this video out and completed in an efficient manner for you all. So we'll get this thing started off here and see who falls to us at the 1.7 pick. Dang. So, all right, that's cool. I thought that Zeke had went off the board at first, and I thought I was going to be stuck with Nick Chubb in this full PPR format, but I will have the choice of Ezekiel Elliott, who I actually prefer. And there, I guess you see his player profile as I was trying to draft him. But I pulled him up on the screen. I prefer Ezekiel Elliott over Jonathan Taylor, over Nick Chubb. I think that his pass-catching upside really sets him apart from those two. And I think that as a pure rusher, he goes punch for punch with those two players as well. So there's some added risk in that Colts offense with some uncertainty regarding Carson Wentz's health in that offense. Quentin Nelson is obviously a huge contributor to that run game. He's dealing with the same type of injury. They are trending towards week 1 starts, but not a guarantee at this point in the offseason. And then Nick Chubb, he's great. He's an explosive back, one of the purest rushers in the league. But again, I like the situation a little bit more in Dallas, and I think the usage is a bit more favorable to these PPR pass-catching formats. Now into the second round. This is a spot where, oh man, you see, I would absolutely, there's 2 players right now that I would just die to have on my team. I would love to have Antonio Gibson, but it's a little bit of a reach at this spot. And having the fact that Travis Kelce fell to me here at, the 14th overall pick, it's too good to pass on. A full PPR league, give me Pat Mahomes' favorite weapon in this offense, a player who's going to see 130, 135 plus targets per season. I think I just heard a stat, 5 years in a row, he's been the tight end 1. So he's pretty much in his own league now. We know Travis Kelce's name. We know he's going to be a staple of that offense, utilized even more so than a Tyreek Hill. So we can't pass on him when we have the chance to draft him. Unfortunately, Antonio Gibson went at the top of the 3rd round. It's a player I really, really wanted in today's PPR mock. But, just hearing some of the things coming out of Washington camp about his utilization and overall upside there is very, very encouraging to hear. But we've gotten one running back here in the first 2 rounds. If you've been around the channel, you know I like to address that position twice in the top 3 rounds. So there are some promising names at the wide receiver position that could fall in the event that I do take a running back here, which I think I'm going to. I also, I would love to take Darren Waller here had I went running back last round, but I still think it was too much to pass on Travis Kelce. We'll go J.K. Dobbins, see who falls to us at this next pick. It looks like we should get one of the names I was excited about here, and we will. So A-Rob or Terry McLaurin are both fantastic wide receiver 1 options. I love these 10-team leagues because I feel like I can always really fill out the board and get players that I really like in almost every round. Just having 2 less picks really lightens up the board a bit. It makes it easier to find value and easier to find players. So it definitely makes it tougher on a week-to-week basis, though, choosing your starting lineups. But at least on draft day, you can feel very comfortable about the team you've put together. So, do I want to go with the floor? Man, I've got these 2 players as my wide receiver 10 and 11. I'm going to go A-Rob here. Here's my reasoning for that. I think most people would consider Terry McLaurin as a higher ceiling play. Most players would consider Allen Robinson as a better floor play. What I like about Allen Robinson is I think he can match Terry McLaurin's ceiling once Justin Fields takes over as the starter. I'm not going to argue that Terry McLaurin might have a higher ceiling with Fitzmagic when Robinson's working with Andy Dalton, but the more we see Justin Fields play, the more it seems as if he is going to be out there sooner rather than later. So I want to take my chances here. Give me the player who's had 150 targets the last 2 seasons, the player who's got the volume in this offense, the most established receiving threat on this team, and one of the most underrated receivers in the league. I love that pick up there. So another fairly easy choice for me here. I think I might just go pair that floor of Allen Robinson that we're getting regardless of who his quarterback is. I'm going to pair him up with CeeDee Lamb here. I think that the ceiling for Lamb is exceptional. You talk about having Dak Prescott, that high passing volume Cowboys offense. I get myself 2 Dallas Cowboys in the first 5 rounds, Zeke and CeeDee Lamb. I think that'll work out pretty nice, though. I think that both of those players have, Zeke in particular has a better floor, I would say, but CeeDee Lamb can hold his own there, too. He was only -5 in the target department in his first 5 NFL games with Dak Prescott under center, as compared to Amari Cooper, who was, a 5-year vet at that point. So we're talking about a player who is just getting his first NFL action, going nearly punch for punch with one of the most respected wideouts in the league at that point last season. So feeling really good about CeeDee Lamb's upside. I think that the sky's the limit for him, and he can do some major things for that offense next year. The running back crop right now, let's just take a peek at it. Not really too in love with any of those names. We've already got the tight end position locked down. Had there been Travis Etienne went over a round ago, so he's long gone. We can start to look back at the running back position here in the later rounds with some Michael Carters, Trey Sermons, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, all names I like. Mike Davis would be a fine option as an RB3. But right now, we're going to go with Tyler Lockett here for the Seattle Seahawks. Another play I think that is extremely good in terms of the upside he brings to the table. Him and Russell Wilson have awesome chemistry together, and they just make the tough plays look easy, and Wilson can fit that ball into such tight windows that Lockett has the concentration and focus to haul in and net some pretty huge plays. So if you remember back to last season, he had some of the biggest fantasy outputs of anyone last year, and a large majority of that is because of how productive a player is. So I would love to take a Chase Claypool at this draft spot. This is typically a position where I wouldn't think twice about it, but we still don't know exact in-depth details about the... So, I mean, I guess supposedly his ankle injury is a minor sprain. Oh, man. See, I feel like I'd like to hear a little bit more prior to... He's gotten dinged up a couple times in the last few weeks. Now, he landed on a football in the Hall of Fame game, went down, and now here I guess he's dinged up at practice again. So, something to be mindful of at least. Keep your eye on that. If he misses time, that's only good news for Deontay Johnson owners and Juju Smith owners. But I think that Claypool has the highest upside of any of those 3 in that trio, so I'd like to see him be healthy there. I'm going to go dip into the running back market one more time here. I'm going to take Chase Edmonds. Typically in half PPR or standard leagues, I'm looking at Mike Davis as a safer draft pick here. But I love the pass-catching upside and the points that Edmonds can net me by simply catching the football. Mike Davis can catch the ball as well, and of course he has to go 1 pick before me, so we're going to miss out on him. I thought he might fall to us there. But I think that I get a better ceiling play out of Chase Edmonds as my RB3 than I would with Mike Davis. Mike Davis can hold down the fort as a low-end RB2, and I actually have Davis as my RB24 and Edmonds as my RB25. But with that pick in this scoring format, I wanted a more of an upside play. We went upside here the last 3 picks. He's not going to score too many touchdowns, but what he can do in the receiving game is still incredibly valuable to us as fantasy players and justifies making that draft selection there. So I could hit the draft button on another receiver that has a lot of upside. I could bring in OBJ as my wide receiver 4 here, and I think feel pretty good about that position. The volume isn't going to be awesome for Odell this year, but in that Browns offense, the ability he has off play action to stretch the field, he could potentially hit some big home run balls. You're not going to want to start him against tougher matchups this season, I think, because his floor last year, we saw the ceiling was awesome, but he was very boom bust. He's really one way or another, so he's not going to put up consistently great numbers in this Cleveland offense. I think that Jarvis Landry is more of the safe, consistent play here, but Odell has that ceiling factor. And again, he's probably not going to be an every week starter for this team. You see, he fits down here on my bench, not even as a starting level player in these 10-team leagues, but That's fine. Coming off an ACL injury, I'd rather not have him in my starting lineup, and I'll play him in good matchups where I feel like he can thrive there. So, what did Trey Sermon go off the board? Yep, Trey Sermon went to 8-7. So, I'm not going to waste any time. I am going to capitalize on the running back I would next most like for this team. That's going to be Michael Carter of the New York Jets. A slight reach as far as ADP goes, but give me the back that has young, fresh legs from the Jets, has pass catching upside. I think that will become incredibly valuable, and as an RB4 on this roster, he could eventually play himself into a starting lineup job in either that flex position or potentially an RB2 spot if we see another player go down. I just like the security I feel with that draft pick. He's not someone I want to be starting all the time early on in the season, but JK and Zeke will hopefully fulfill that role for me until I would end up needing him. So I'm really feeling good about the way this team's coming together. I suppose I could invest into a quarterback anytime now. I've waited quite a bit. The names that are jumping off the board. See, I would love to go the boom-bust route of a Jalen Hurts because I love that upside. Trevor Lawrence is a player who I think has very nice upside and will have a lot of passing volume in his offense, but his line cannot protect him. They're going to see some tough fronts every once in a while, and those games might get a little ugly, so I'm not going to want to start him in those matchups. The Eagles, however, they also have some issues, but Jalen Hurts is a lot more of a scrambling quarterback than Trevor Lawrence is. So I feel like he can at least evade, rush in the pocket, and get out in space, pick up some yards with his legs, give us some easy fantasy points there. And in the read option game, he's very productive as well. So another reason to like him there. I could dip into my fifth running back, take a Zach Moss off the table, who I prefer over all of these three players. Not really too locked in on any of these receivers. I'm not big fans of them, to be honest, either. Antonio Brown did lead the Buccaneers in target share percentage when he was on the field last season, but obviously that was a limited stint. I'm going to reach a little bit for a Zach Moss here, a pass-catching back who also has goal line upside with the Bills. He is expected to be the team's leading rusher this year. I think he'll get some of that goal line value back. Dang it. So that stings. Hurts went off for the board. I rolled the dice. Okay, we're fine. We're totally fine. I'm going to make this pick right here and not risk it again. So I wanted the upside of Jalen Hurts as a rusher. He went off the table, but Tannehill was still there. Made sure I capitalized on that right away. Ryan Tannehill is very, very good. Very underrated as well. He's a lower-end starting quarterback in fantasy leagues, but when you have two wide receiver ones and Julio Jones and A.J. Brown on your team, that's enough upside for me. And he can tuck the ball and run as well. This team has a lot of play-action value because Derrick Henry is so effective as a rusher himself. And this offense is going to have to pass a bit more, I think, this season because their defense is a little weaker. So trusting in Tannehill, it seems like a smart choice to me and is something I'm not too against doing. And I think what I'm going to do with this next pick here, although I could use a Rashad Bateman or a Corey Davis, and I'm not going to pull the trigger on a defense just yet. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out who the next picks off the board are going to be because it seems like I have time. I really want Justin Fields. So if I feel as if I can get Justin Fields by passing on him this round, but the thing is, all these defenses that are up here in ADP, I don't know if they'll actually go. So I'll be very, very disappointed if I miss out in the Justin Fields sweepstakes. This is kind of the thing. It's a little bit more tough sometimes to predict the ADP. It seems like it should just fall down in a strict order, but their algorithms make sure it mixes things up and changes things up every once in a while to keep your drafts fresh and new every time. That you don't exactly know if Fields will fall down that far and he'll be there for my next pick or if he'll be off the table. I'm going to draft Rashad Bateman. He's currently dinged up right now. I think he's actually having some minor surgery, but he's supposed to be back in September. The Ravens need a wide receiver one, and he should fulfill that role for them. Please, Justin Fields. Darnell Mooney goes out the board. Uh-oh. All right, he made it. There we go. Okay. Make that draft choice there, and then slow things down for the last couple rounds. So this is pretty much a rapid-fire mock draft today. We'll recap that team. Bateman, essentially, though, I think will take over as the number one option in the passing game for this offense very, very quickly. As soon as he gets out there, he's the most complete receiver. He can do work at all levels of defense, and I just feel very good about him as a player. He was one of my favorite and most underrated wideouts in this draft class. I would have him ranked higher on my draft board had he went to a higher passing volume team, as the Ravens are the number one rushing threat in the NFL, So it's all a matter of situation. I think that the Ravens may become more balanced per se, maybe back to a 50-50 rule instead of a 60-40 run-to-pass ratio. In the event that they can find some quality names and Lamar Jackson can take a step forward as a passer, but moving into that Justin Fields pick there, I have my quality starter with Ryan Tannehill, but Justin Fields gives me that top-end upside if he is to come in, start games for the Bears, and hit. I love the fact that I paired him with Allen Robinson. That could be a really, really good duo to end the season off. Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert was a great stack last year. So stacking isn't always something I would target and go for, but it can become very, very, very good if you get some hot performances from a quarterback to a given weapon. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, and Matt Ryan is one of the lower end ones, but still quality. Matt Ryan just being that he's a little bit more inconsistent as an overall passer, and since he throws a lot of picks and doesn't have much of a run game, his floor can get a bit dicey and the ceiling isn't all that elite. Got 3 picks left to make here, just a defense to fill out, and the rest is depth purposes here. I think I might go Curtis Samuel with this next pick. Yeah, we're running out of time here. And we've invested enough into 5 running backs that I feel comfortable with that group, actually very, very comfortable, even though this is a 10-team league. I feel great about the depth I have there. Having Zach Moss as an RB5, who will likely never start, but has a lot of nice potential, is something I like to see. Curtis Samuel has an awesome amount of upside in this Washington football team offense simply because of Fitzmagic. And his usage as a dynamic player who can line up and run routes out of the backfield, as well as be a very good slot player, makes me think that he could catch a hot hand from Fitzmagic, reap the rewards of his basically gunslinger, air it out mentality and play style. So he might not be the safest pick in the world. He did have a lot of quality performances last year, and as a Panther in his last season there, he was a very viable flex or wide receiver 2 candidate. But I think that the ceiling takes an even further step forward with this new offense. Hopefully, as long as the role he sees with Ron Rivera doesn't trend backwards to where it was when he was previously his head coach. So, 2 rounds left. Do I want a defense or do I want to pass? You see, if I can wait till the last round of my draft and pick up Denver or Miami, I'm completely okay with that. So I'm going to take one more wide receiver here, Marvin Jones. I think he could be a very sneaky sleeper for this Jags offense. Look at what he did with Trevor Lawrence in just those first 2 series for that team in the preseason game week 1. I think that being the most veteran player in the room is really doing a number in terms of his connection and the trust that Lawrence has in him. So I could see him very easily leading this team in receiving yardage and getting enough opportunities to do so. He can stretch the field. He can do a lot of things. He's a very quality route runner. He's savvy at this point. He's over the 30 age marker, so he's been around for a while. He's been playing for teams for quite some time. He might actually be 31 now. Check that out. Yeah, he is 31, but still a very, very solid player and a guy we can count on here in our league. So, do I want to go Denver or do I want to go Miami? I think that Miami, well, I know for a fact, Miami is my higher rated team on the draft guide. In my rankings, I have Miami higher. So I picked Denver a lot recently as well. If you're looking for 2 late round defenses, you don't want to invest into picking a defense, let's see, in round 12 here with Pittsburgh, Tampa, Baltimore, Washington, Los Angeles. You can wait. These teams have good pass rushes too. They've got playmaking guys in the secondary. Pat Surtain looked like a monster in that first preseason game. What I look for in a fantasy defense is simply pass rush. Can your front 7 get after the quarterback? That's going to cause hits. That turns into turnovers, incompletions, interceptions, fumbles. Hitting the quarterback makes an offense's life a lot tougher. So if you can do that, you're going to be trending the right way, having turnovers and whatnot. And when you've got that, in addition to a very, very good secondary in Miami, I think that's a very good spot for your team to be in. So I absolutely love the team I put together today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on my team If you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer those as well. Just drop those down there, join the Discord. I can connect with you on there, get you in some of these mock drafts before the season's over, or draft season, I should say, because we're just winding up the NFL season. But Tannehill, Zeke Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, those are the top 3 names on the board here. Not my first 3 picks, but obviously in the lineup, as you can see in the the bottom right corner. Allen Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, my top 2 wide receivers. Travis Kelce topping off the tight end room. And then Tyler Lockett, Chase Edmonds, and that Dolphins defense. I feel good about the reserves I have that can be interchangeable players in those flex spots. Odell Beckham Jr., Michael Carter, Zach Moss, Rashad Bateman, Justin Fields, Curtis Samuel. More players I think just have a heck of a lot of upside. Marvin Jones. There's not really anyone I took on the board today that I feel is too safe of a pick. I mean, you could argue that Zeke Elliott or Travis Kelce are probably, or I guess Allen Robinson are safe players. But the rest of these guys, I'm shooting for the stars. These are very high upside plays. Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't have a great floor, but he's got a dang good ceiling. Tyler Lockett, we saw last season, doesn't have an amazing floor, but his ceiling is exceptional. Chase Edmonds, we don't know. Is he going to get 20 touches a game? Maybe not, but 12 to 15 might just do the trick. He's explosive, efficient, elusive. He's got a good ceiling. Carter, Moss. There's a lot of names here that I think could eventually turn into something. So, thank you all so much for watching. If you checked out my sweatshirt in today's video, this is a piece of the SFS merch. You can check that out. The link is in the description of today's video. Or if you just head over to my website, sizzlefantasy.com, you can click on SFS Shop and be redirected to that page. Otherwise, go check out the draft guide collection for this season. I've got 60 plus must-own players, rounds 1 through 20 of these 12-team leagues. I've also got sleeper candidates, bust candidates, big master lists for both of those. Redraft rankings, dynasty rankings. I've got positional rankings, my top 250 player big board, a draft day cheat sheet you can print off, take notes on, write down your leagues and fill out as you draft each position or fill out that bench, however you're doing things. A lot of stuff for you to take advantage of. So I think it's the best value out there on the fantasy market right now. It's a very affordable price, and there's a ton of content that I worked all summer on to get that stuff in there for you all. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.